AH12 of After Hours with Nia. Today we have Matt Luna of the Werewolf Initiative. He's a physique and mindset coach. And his birthday's coming up. So for his birthday, go follow him on Instagram. Check out all he's got going on over there. I love his content. He's a cool guy. But yeah, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Like I was saying, I'm just honored that you think I'm even interesting enough to talk to.
Of course, yeah. I wanted to ask you, and this isn't related to like your business or anything, but so you're from Texas, right?
Yeah, born and raised San Antonio, Texas.
Awesome. I've always had like a love affair with Texas. I've only ever been to like kind of like the Austin area, which I know is a little bit different than the rest of Texas. But it seems like it's a place where people love to be from there. And I've heard that it's more like affordable to live. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, yeah. From what I haven't been a whole lot of places outside Texas, but that's what I've heard. That's kind of like what I observe. Yeah,
And is the Texas pride like a real thing?
it is. Yeah, yeah. The um, even like I don't particularly subscribe to that, but I'll even find myself sometimes like, yeah, I'm from Texas.
You're like, America. Awesome. Dude, I love that you call yourself a physique and mindset coach. I feel like physique is such a nice word.
It is, yeah. I was in because bodybuilding is like my thing, and that's like the cornerstone, like burning fat, building muscle, like your physique, like really owning that.
Yeah, and you do massage therapy as well, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah, so
and you wouldn't think those things are connected, but really, the body is like the body's like an interconnected system, kind of like the spokes like on a bike. So like on a bike, you tighten up and loosen all these spokes, and that's what makes the wheel turn. Your body's pretty much like that, like a more complex version of that. So
yeah, I
I'm
like that you
I certified myself in pretty much the tightening and the loosening of the spokes.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, it does seem like you have a very, I don't know if I could call it holistic, but it does seem like a very holistic kind of approach. It's more than just the body, it's also the mind. You mentioned a lot about like mindset and things like that. And you do have one post where you mentioned like it's good to have a connection to God, source, universe, whatever people want to call it. So I really admire that approach because I think a lot of people are just focused on like muscle, 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 but like you can have muscles and be depressed.
Right, yeah. You could have muscles and not have a connection with source. You could have a connection with source and not have a powerful body. Like it's all connected. I'm really into all those things. I just want to like put that all together.
And how did you get into all this? Like, do you come from a family that's really fit, or what's your story?
No, quite the opposite. So I came from a family that was very like physically, mentally, spiritually unhealthy. Uh, do you want to like take this all the way back to like when I was born?
I mean, hey,
Type of
whatever
thing.
you want to share, I'm down to listen.
Yeah, no, like I had a really good childhood up till like I was about 12, 13 years old. My parents divorced, and that's like kind of when like all this started. So after they divorced, my mom brought in this guy. They're they're married, but I just call him my mom's boyfriend. Um, that type of thing. But that's really when all this started. Like I really noticed how they're just low vibrational people, you know. And I don't want to like come on here and like talk shit about them. I love my mom and everything, but it was just a really low vibrational environment. Their habits kind of pretty much had me. I was pre-diabetic. Like I was super skinny, really malnourished, really just depressed, suicidal. To be honest with you, I was just really just unhappy with my body and just my whole living situation, just everything. And so I took all those things and I just I got very clear on who I did not want to be. They were a good example of how I did not want to live. I wanted to be the complete opposite. And luckily, I'm grateful for my dad because he's pretty much the reason I'm into all this. My mom and her boyfriend kind of brainwashed me to think like he's this horrible person and he's like, whatever. And for a while it worked, but I had to like deprogram all that conditioning that they put on me. My dad's super cool. He's the reason I'm into like fitness and health. Um, Early in my spiritual awakening, he would send me like Infinite Waters videos. I don't know if you're familiar with that guy. No, it's a spiritual YouTuber guy, but he would send me like those videos, and that started to really like plant those seeds.
That's awesome. No, and I resonate with that. I came from, my parents divorced when I was like 6, 9 months old. Like I was still a baby. I've never seen them together. But yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. It was always like, oh, this person doesn't love you, and this person, it's so messy, and it's hard when you're a child because when you're a child, you think your parents know everything, and that it's all coming from love, but they are just people. You know what I mean? And we can't always just take their word for everything. But I appreciate you sharing that. And do you feel like it was just a calling of yours as well, or it was just more like you just wanted to be the total opposite of what you were seeing?
It was kind of both. Like I had a lot of anger and a lot of frustration for like that environment that I was in and the situation that they kind of put me in, that kind of box that they put me in. So there was a lot of frustration of like I have to become this complete opposite thing to what they are. But at the same time, I felt this like unmistakable calling to do this. Like it's there's nothing else to do but follow this path that I feel called towards. So
Yeah.
it's kind of both.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think that that's really powerful, and I also just really admire that you really went for it. I mean, kind of recently have really popped up on social media, and you're really just putting your all into it, and that's really admirable because a lot of people maybe have gone through the same thing or have the same calling, but they're too afraid to put themselves out there. So what do you think like really motivated you to try to be, more in the spotlight, I guess if you can call it that?
Yeah. Um well, I mean, like early in my transformation, I would have people tell me how they're like inspired that I even made a little bit of progress. Like the first time I ever did like a fat loss cut, my dad would tell me like, damn, like I feel genuinely like inspired by you for you doing that. And like he went did his own thing. And I've had multiple friends tell me that they're just inspired by just me being unapologetically me on this path, you know. So it's just feedback from just friends and family, from making little milestones myself, just really um, inspired me to take it further.
Yeah, so it's like you got them inspired, and now you're like, "Oh, I wonder who else I can inspire,"
Yeah,
help along the
yeah,
way.
pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah.
And so you do massage therapy and you do the personal training. Is there one that you like doing more?
No, not really. I mean, it's really all connected. I mean, I'll do personal training in the morning, I'll program for my clients, and then I'll go do massage therapy as a full time job later. I mean, it's all literally all parts of my day are connected. Like even, the music stuff, like even that's part of just the overall mission. Everything kind of culminates to a greater mission that I don't completely understand myself yet, but it's like it's all connected. I don't really like one thing more than the other. And one thing I really learned about myself too is I don't like to be pigeonholed into like one title, one job. I really learned that about myself in recent years. So I mean, it's all for the sake of like a greater mission.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's great that you're following your path. I mean, you haven't really said it's a spiritual journey, but that's what it seems to be, is a very spiritual journey of you just kind of really stepping into who you are and letting your light shine, which gives other people, inspiration or permission to do the same thing. But there's actually
Yeah.
something I really wanted to ask you. So I have like a really bad sleep schedule. Sorry, you can probably hear my dogs. I have a horrible sleeping schedule just with, my boyfriend having cancer, and a lot of times he just feels really sick. And so nighttime is like really bad. So I'm lucky if I get like a solid 4 hours. So if I don't get any sleep and I work out, how would that like affect my body or my workout?
Well, sleep is pretty much the most powerful performance enhancing drug,
Yeah.
even more than like steroids, even more than like, sleep's powerful. So you definitely want to like prioritize that as much as possible, as much deep sleep. But I mean, there is also something too in being able to perform on less than ideal sleep. There's something to that too. It kind of makes you a little bit more of a savage to be able to, you know, get like 2 3 hours of sleep and still pull stuff off. But it's definitely a priority. I would recommend, getting like 6 to 8 hours. I mean, it's a powerful performance enhancing drug.
Yeah. So I get what you mean. It's like it's ideal to have the sleep, but if not, it's definitely like a strength training in a different way, I guess.
Yeah, it's training you to operate under stress. I mean, there's something to that too.
Yeah. And I like that you kind of talk about that a lot. Like you have very motivational posts that you make. So again, everybody like go follow him. It's like great stuff. How do you like come up with your inspiration? Are you just like in the moment, like something comes to mind?
Yeah, yeah. I'll kind of like think about. So I'll kind of like ask like my spirit guides, like, what's the message that people need today? Like, what do I feel genuinely called to like share? Like, what do people, whoever, even if it's to one person, like, what do they need to hear today? So I'll just really go off that. Or sometimes I'll scroll through and look at other guys that I look up to, and I'll kind of like brainstorm off what they've done.
Mm.
So
I
it's like a
like that you
combination of both.
incorporate like the spiritual into it too, because I think that makes it way more powerful. Like I said, like for instance, I recently have gotten really into yoga, and I've seen the difference between the people who are there for exercise, which like honestly, like I don't really think yoga is exercise. I don't really think that's the point. I mean, it can be a little bit challenging, especially like depending on how you're doing it. But to me, it's more of like a like body connection, like mindfulness exercise. So it's interesting to see how some people who see it all as an exercise, how they benefit from it or don't benefit from it, and how like more mindfully based people, I feel like get more out of the experience.
Yeah, because I mean, the literal definition of yoga, like literal Sanskrit definition, is unity of mind, body, and spirit. So I mean, it makes sense. It's a system that's meant to unify all these things, and it's like people like you and me just kind of intuitively get that. But it's easy for most people. It's easy for most people for that to go over their heads.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, but it is what it
That's
is.
where our work, that's where what we do comes into play.
Hmm. And I want to ask you too, I hear a lot that massages have a like physical benefit for the person getting it. What exactly is the benefit of getting a massage? But aside from like it feels nice.
Yeah, besides the obvious, it feels nice on your muscles. So your muscles are closely interconnected with the nervous system, and we know the nervous system stores memories, emotions, all sorts of stuff that science can't exactly all the way explain. Even science can't even explain what consciousness is, but it's all connected. Everything from consciousness all the way to the smallest fiber of muscle, it's all connected. So it's not uncommon for what's called in massage an emotional release. It's like when you're massaging someone and you're working out a knot, there's emotions, there's stuff stored in there, so it's not uncommon for people to like just start crying or whatever. But I mean, it seems disconnected, but the body is very closely interconnected with uh, higher realms of being, higher systems like the spiritual. There's a spiritual system there that we don't completely understand.
Yeah, it's just like how, for instance, people who have a hard time expressing themselves, they have a throat chakra blockage. So they probably have, knots in the back of their neck or their throat. So it really does make sense. And I love how you can bring it together because I can say something like that as a Reiki master, but it's like, what do you know? You just like magically touch people? So it's cool how you can kind of like confirm that. And even I've heard the same thing with yoga. You're in a certain stretch or certain pose and a bone cracks and all of a sudden you're like I miss my mom or like whatever ends up coming through. So I think it's
Yeah.
really cool. It's just proof that like mind body soul it's all one thing.
Mhm. Yeah, I even had an experience like that. There was like I've had this thing in my left shoulder for the longest time, and the left side of the body corresponds with the feminine energy. So that I had someone at school like did a trigger point underneath my chest, and that like unleashed a bunch of weird stuff that like I had to go like have an emotional release myself in the restroom. But it's like it's weird how that works.
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally get it. And like it probably sounds so silly to people who don't get what we're talking about. They're like, somebody touched your armpit and you like cried, you know? It's so funny. It's like, but you have to
Yeah.
try this stuff for yourself to understand. And I think a lot of people are, and I'm not judging, but I think a lot of people are just very comfortable in their little, whatever they know, and they're not as willing to go out and try something new. And especially with a massage, for instance, I think a lot of people see it as like a bougie, like self care thing, but it's really good for your health.
Yeah, it's good. It's not just good for your health, it's like imperative that you take care of yourself, through exercise, and massage is just another tool. Because you could do the foam rolling, you could do the stretching, you could get a massage gun, but there's just a whole other level when there's like a knowledgeable therapist that knows what they're working on and how to work things. It
Mhm.
just adds a whole other level. And
Yeah.
it's not just a luxury, like it's important that you do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's a good point, to have another human being like holding the space and like physically like touching you and kind of like
Yeah.
having attention, that knowledge. But I also think if somebody with like some horrible energy, they just hate their job and they're like massaging you, I feel like that's probably not good either.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That's something that I'm still kind of learning myself. So, like, I did your Reiki level 1 course, and so I have kind of like an awareness for this. And whenever you're massaging people, you'll get like intuitive messages like about them. You learn a lot about them that they don't even think you can read them that way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's powerful, and I'm still at the beginning of this, so I don't know. This is kind of going down like a I think I'm gonna, yeah, I don't know. Ricky's becoming a part of this, and there's just more to it that I just can't explain.
Oh no, yeah, I totally get it. Quick question though, when you get those intuitive messages, do you tell them or do you just like keep it to yourself?
No, I just keep it to myself because I'm learning as I go. Like I never went looking for the messages; they just started coming.
Yeah, that's part of the Reiki is like once you're really attuned to it and you understand how to tap in, it's a whole different experience. Like I think everyone's psychic just on their own because we're spiritual beings, but I think once you fully like kind of tap into it and be like, okay, like I can do this, it opens up the door. And I don't blame you for not saying anything because I'm sure they'd be like, what the hell? Like, dude, welcome to my life. Like it's
Yeah.
uncomfortable for people. Like I've had a long time ago, I was actually at a bar, not proud of it, but this woman was sitting next to me and she just looked, and I don't mean it in a mean way, but she just looked really sick. Like she looked like something was wrong. And I was like, hey, like, are you okay? And she started telling me that she has like pancreatic cancer and all this stuff going on. And I held her hands and I was like, girl, you need to let the past go. Like your dad and your mom, they screwed up, but like that's not on you. Like you were just a kid, but you gotta let it. And she like was bawling, like she was so like, but not in like a sad way. It was like, oh my god, like you're right, and I push it down. I don't think about it, but like it's relevant. But some people would be like, the hell are you talking about? It's my pancreas, not like, but it really does. Like all the things you go through, like it adds up and adds up and adds up. And I think, body trauma, body issues can go all the way back to even like when you were born or even when you're in your mom's womb. Like if your mom, for instance, I hate to say this, but if she's getting like knocked around or whatever while she's pregnant, I mean, you're going to have that trauma deep inside your body.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
I've heard that stuff before. I haven't really like read into it, but yeah, I've seen that stuff around. That kind of information coming out more.
yeah, and I think more people should talk about it. It's like they say like your conscious mind might forget, but your body never does. And I think it goes all the way back
Yeah.
to like conception.
Yeah, I was recently made aware of this book. Someone at work was recommending this book called "The Body Keeps the Score," and
Hmm.
it was pretty much exactly what you just said right now. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like synchronistic that you say that.
Yeah, no, and if that's a synchronicity, that's a sign. Like you need to like read it, ask your mom like what her experience was and stuff.
Yeah,
Because honestly, it's important.
yeah.
It's super
Because the
important, and I
body does
think
keep.
yeah, and I think a lot of people just don't even think about it. They're like, I don't remember, but But anyways, I wanted to ask you too. So, I live here obviously with my boyfriend, his daughter, and we have a roommate who's kind of like he's like a family friend. He's like family, but they're both guys. And I was like, I'm gonna be talking to this guy, and he does like massages and stuff. And they're like, oh, I know what you should ask him. And I'm like, oh god, like here we go. So they wanted me to ask you if you ever gave somebody like such a good massage that they like gave you their number, or like wanted some other special massages.
No, not exactly, but there have been some times where it was kind of like it was kind of going in that direction, but you just keep it very professional.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I wouldn't think that you would be like down, but
No, no, I'm not trying to get into all that mess.
was
I'm sure
it
there are
from
people out
women
there.
or was it women or
Was
men?
that from old ladies?
True,
Yeah,
true. And I feel like honestly they have more time to go get a massage. You know what I mean? I feel like most people their schedule is so
yeah,
crazy that like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
so like
There's definitely a stigma there about like massage people, but just massage places in general. You know how there's that stigma of like human trafficking and all that, which is a real problem. But it's just up to us to like to keep it professional.
yeah, of course. That is actually, I never thought about that because there is that like stereotype of like happy endings and like all of that, but it probably doesn't happen everywhere. It's probably mostly, maybe like
Like the
inner
whole in some
city.
places.
Yeah. I don't even want to touch on that because honestly, that's a whole a whole
Yeah,
other thing.
yeah.
But yeah, I've also seen that like you're that person that gets up at like 5 a.m. and you're like you're going for your day. So can you like walk us through like your morning routine? Like what do you do?
Yeah, for sure. So the morning routine is pretty much the cornerstone of my whole transformation that you've seen yourself. But since I started working with you, that's like the cornerstone of what I teach and what's really gotten me to where I'm at. So everything starts around anywhere between like 3 to 4 a.m. I chose that time because I didn't come up with this. Someone that I look up to, like a coach, like a mentor, kind of mentioned that, and I found it to be true myself. The earlier that I start my day, closer to what's called a witching hour, that's when I get the most like intuitions, downloads. There's just a lot of momentum in the morning around that time.
Hmm.
So I'll get up around 3 4 a.m. and I'll do my first meal, whether I'm bulking or cutting. It's conducive to that goal. I'll do my meditation and visualization, and then I'm at the gym by about 5:30. But this is all for the sake of building momentum. There's more momentum than in the morning than there is at night because I don't know, I just can't do nights at all, and I don't. I feel like people are lying when they say they can do nights because you're just so tired. The day's already like ran you through. Nights suck, but just mornings have so much more momentum, and there's like a spiritual backing to that.
Yeah, with the 3 a.m. being the witching hour. And that makes sense
Mhm.
because the reason why that's the witching hour is because like the veil between, the worlds and the dimensions is very thin. So that does make sense. I
So
actually really
just
like
doing that for I've been doing that for years already. That it's not a new thing at all. Like I've been doing this since I was like 18, 19, about to be 26 next week. And I haven't been bodybuilding that whole time, but when I was early in my journey, I would get up early, do my meditation, I do just like a body weight workout, and I started to like really feel like how much of a difference it makes. Like I have so much positive momentum for my life when I do this routine. So I live and die by this routine. Like I just can't be without it. And it goes over a lot of people's heads just how powerful that is. Just getting up early.
that. No, I have been really feeling that call because I mentioned my sleeping routine before is really difficult. And I have been feeling that call to just wake up like extremely early and just start from there. So I actually like that you brought that up. And also, the whole morning routine thing, like I have the most perfect morning routine, but I'm the type of person, if I miss it for one day, I'm screwed. Like it just totally throws me off. It'll honestly, I'm just a slow person. I don't know why. But if I miss one day of my routine, I won't get back to it for like weeks, which is really bad. But are you like kind of like that? Like if you miss a day, it just throws you off.
Not throw me off. But, I mean, I'll just get right back on the horse. Like the
See, I
next day. It
can't.
doesn't really make a
Why?
difference.
I get like stuck. I get
Yeah,
stuck. I don't know why. It's really weird.
yeah. Yeah, I
But
don't know.
I will say though, like, definitely, like, stick to the morning routine. I think everyone should. It, like, irks me when people, their first thing they do in the morning is they're on, like, reels or shorts on YouTube, and they just are like this. I'm like, dude, that is the worst thing you could possibly do when you first wake up. Like, you're
Yeah,
setting the tone for your day. You're already overwhelmed. You probably thought about like 50 different things you would not have been thinking about. Like, I did that one morning just to see what it was like, honestly, and it threw off my whole day. Like, I was just like, it's just horrible. I hate that so much.
yeah. Like more tends to go wrong whenever I don't get up early and do that whole thing. Like it's just like a law of the universe. Like the more I stick to that, the more things go right. More things feel aligned. Opportunities just fall to me. Things just fall into place magically. But then as soon as I get off, that all like breaks apart. So
Yeah, because I almost feel
this is
like it's
something you got
like,
to experience.
yeah, that's true. I almost feel like it's also connected, like, spiritually, because it's kinda like when you take that time every morning to, like, meditate or, like, set your intention or whatever it is you're doing, it is kinda like a time when you're with God or, like, the universe, your
Yeah.
guides, whatever, and so when you break that up, it's kinda like a different kind of disconnection. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. And I feel like a lot of people's problems would be solved if they just adopted a little bit of that discipline. Like a lot of their problems would just dissipate. A lot of their depression, anxiety, a lot of their frustrations, a lot of it would be fixed if they just got up early and just got to work on themselves. 'Cause
Exactly, like,
there's a quote, I don't remember who said it, how exactly it goes, but like your level of self development will not exceed your level of success. And so getting up in the morning, doing this, like setting aside that time to work on yourself, it's literally setting you up for the next best version of you.
yeah. Yeah, that's very true. I've even been thinking about that because, um, I'm kind of like the caretaker of my household. And so, like, if I'm delusionally, like, sleepy, I'm not going to be taking care of anyone. So it's even like, let's say your goal is not to be successful. Maybe it's just to, be a mom or be, whatever. Like, you have to be taking care of yourself. I work with a lot of people, men and women, but just the moms, for instance, tend to be the people that struggle the most because they're like, I can't get any time to myself. I can't take care of myself. But you're right. You know what? Like, wake up early as hell. Wake up early as hell. Have time for yourself. Do your thing. Take care of the kids. Put their ass to bed 7 or 8. I think a lot of times, like, it is that self discipline and prioritizing your self care. And just like by having I have your Goddess of Victory workout um, plan. And that's honestly really helpful because it showed me that it's not complicated to be exercising. It's not complicated to get in shape. It's literally just like, are you willing to do it for yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. People think it's like, it's got to be this complicated thing with a bunch of variables, and it can be, you know, even just, I mean, just a beginner workout like the one I sent you in the ebook. That's really all it takes.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy because it like, just seeing all your stuff, it literally is like, it's so simple. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
Like,
It's also simple, but it's, yeah, it's just not always easy
yeah.
because you got to wrestle with your own brain to get just push through the what's it called? Uh,
Obstacles?
yeah. There's another
Yeah.
word I can't.
Stamina? I don't know. I'm not getting the word. I know like what you're trying to say, but I'm not getting the word.
Resistance.
Yes. Oh, resistance. That's a good one. I think like sometimes the thing that we feel the most resistance towards doing is what we need to do the most. You know what I mean? Because it's easy to be like, I'm gonna go get some Taco Bell, and it's harder to be like, you know what, I'm gonna cook a nice fresh meal. And it's like
Yeah,
that's what you need to do. And I really wonder sometimes why that is. I mean, I definitely think it could be, negative energy or, whatever forces are against you, but I wonder why it's so much easier to do the wrong thing.
yeah. I don't know. It's really it really varies person to person
Or
and
maybe
what it
it's
is that
also,
they're doing.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good.
I was gonna say like maybe it's instant gratification.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah,
Yeah, because
it's really comes down to do you want that immediate gratification that's of a lower nature, or do you want to sacrifice that for something of a greater nature that's going to take place a little bit farther in the future, but the payoff is very well worth it.
yeah, it's like doing Ozempic instead of like not eating all the donuts and like going for a jog or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think
it's really important to you.
yeah, and it just blows my mind though that it's literally that simple. Like you just do it every day, or as much as you can, even if you can't do every day. But even that is like challenging. And I think to go deeper with it, I think a lot of people just maybe feel like they're not worth it, or that it's not worth it, or they're like, well, I have to make money. I don't have time to, I don't know, brush my hair or freaking, do a push up. And that's really sad, to be in this culture of like hustle, hustle, make money, do this, do that. But it's like you can't make money if you're broken or,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You put like health and fitness in the closet, and then when something goes wrong, then you open the closet. So it's really getting people to see, you are not separate from what you do with your day job. You're not separate from your business. You are your business. You are, even if you work at McDonald's. I mean, just see it as, they're renting you for a little bit of time, and it's part of your business. You are a business that they are renting. So if you work on yourself, you do the exercise, you do dieting, the spiritual, you read the spiritual stuff, the meditations, you are in real time building, you're in real time separating yourself from this lower version you don't want to be at the same time working towards this higher version that you maybe can't even see yet, but it's with repetition that you are in real time manifesting a new reality for yourself.
yeah. And that made me think of even if you do feel like, oh, well, I've got this really crappy job, it doesn't matter what I do, my life sucks. But it's like if you take care of yourself and you present yourself well every single day, you'll have more opportunities. Like when I was younger, I worked at a Dunkin' Donuts, like which is basically fast food more or less. And I just always took it very seriously. Like, I mean, I wasn't trying to be like, the manager or whatever, but I did take it seriously. I tried to look nice and I treated everyone as best as I could, very professional about it, even though it was just a crappy job. And I would have people offer me jobs in like doctors' offices and things like that because they could see that I had more potential than just Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, if you could put that level of, you know, intensity into something you don't want to do, imagine what you can do when you get somewhere you do want to be.
Yeah. And that kind of brings in the instant gratification too, because it's like you're not always going to post one video and then you're like, the next Michael Jackson or, whatever you're trying to be.
Yeah,
And also, it is like the constant what's the word, like it's kind of like, for instance, let's say I do the same exact workout every single day for 10 years. At some point that workout isn't doing anything for me, right? Like you have to like step it up. So I feel like that even goes for like your personal habits and the personal things that you do. Like you can be muscular, you can be smart, like you could always be smarter, you could always be more muscular. You're supposed to be always taking in new information and evolving as a person, because I do see people who kind of like plateau on like all different levels, and it's like I feel like people need to remember like you have to keep going. It's like those people that haven't read a book since high school. It's like, honey, you're missing out on a whole other world.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could be the super muscular person, but I mean, there's so many aspects of life to max out. You could, yeah, read the books, become more financially fortified. There's just all kinds of things you can max out in this life, and just the physique is just one, but it's a very powerful start.
Yeah, and everything. I think even like to be even at your spiritual like capacity, you should have a strong body, because you're rooted in the earth in your body. You can reach up higher. Like the deeper the roots of a tree, the higher the branches go. And it's the same with your body. One thing I wanted to bring up too is I don't really like going to the gym anymore, to be honest. Just it's too many people for me and the time I would be able to go. But I used to go
That's
a
why it's
lot.
better to go in the morning.
I know. But you know, I used to get approached by trainers a lot and they'd be like, "Oh, like, you know, I'm going to work out with you." And they would be out of shape. What is going on with that? But then I was like, you know, I guess like they say if you can't do something, you teach it. But it's like, dude, these people were so out of shape and I'm like, "Why how are y'all getting jobs trying to tell me to be in shape, but you like I could teach you something?"
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I guess I mean it's not that hard to get a certification and get a job at a gym, but not every trainer is the same. You know, not everyone has the level of care and understanding for like what we're doing here. You know,
Yeah.
maybe the out of shape people, they can basically take you through a decent workout. But, you know, someone like me really sees this as really what it is. Like we're manifesting a new you from the inside out. And I mean, yeah, I mean, there's really not much else to say about that.
Yeah. It's funny to me. But you bring up a good point. It's the same as like, you know, a school teacher, right? You know, some school teachers really love children and some just need the job.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just a job for a lot of people. I don't know how people like that stay at it because it's a grind doing like corporate, being at a corporate gym, like getting clients and stuff. I mean, I really don't know how out of shape people can do that, but teach their own.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess good for them. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I don't know, but
But
no, I'm
anyway,
really big
so
on like don't take advice from people you don't want to be like. So I live that. I exemplify that. You know, anything I ask my clients to do, I've done like 10 times more for 10 times longer.
respect, respect. So what do you do for fun?
I mean, besides, I mean, majority of my time is spent like in the gym working on my own fitness goals. Um, I play drums. I'm involved with music still. Working on a little project that I'm not going to talk too much about until it's ready to come out. But I mean, that's really majority of my time goes towards. Anything outside that, I mean, vibing out in nature is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, hitting up the trees and stuff.
Yeah, I like going to like record stores, um, coffee shops. But I mean, majority of my existence goes towards like this greater mission. So like that looks like a bunch of different things. Looks my full time job in massage is goes into that. Um, I mean, making content, playing music. I mean that is the fun for me. My mission, my purpose is fun.
Yeah, I like that. So you have a very like you're like passion and purpose driven, which I think is really important and I think that, you know, it's not the most common thing to see. And people say it's like, oh, because of, you know, these days. I don't think it's these days. I think it's always, you know, it's always been like the few people that really want to do something with their lives. You know, it's like you hear that story, which I don't know if I really believe it, but like they say that who's that guy? Oh, Jeff Bezos or whatever. When he started Amazon, he was working out of a garage, you know, and then eventually he's like, I mean, I get a lot of shit off Amazon, you know what I mean? So I think it's really important, like, to anybody watching, like, if you truly have something you know you want to do, let's say you don't even know how to do it yet, just learn. And you don't have to necessarily like go to a class, but maybe you should. But you know, you could just do your own research. You know, you can be self-taught. You know, a lot of things I have taught myself or just kind of intuitively learned. And then other things, you know, I do go to other people to learn. And I just think it's sad, at least the people I tend to see in my life. It's like once they're done with high school or once they're done with college, they stop learning. And like that makes me really upset. And not just like learning like out of a book, but even just like socially or like spiritually, you know.
Yeah, or I mean, knowledge of self. You know, people don't really get that. Isn't that like the highest form of like consciousness or something? Like
Yeah.
knowledge of self.
Yeah.
And I mean, that really comes from spending time alone, being able to spend that time alone from whatever it is your family or like society tells you to do. You know, your purpose reveals itself to you in those moments of solitude. And I
Yeah.
feel like more people would become aware of these natural talents and gifts that they have, just spend a little bit more time alone, which again, where the morning routine comes into play.
Yeah, it all starts there. It all starts there. It's so
Because
crazy.
I never took lessons for drums. That's something I completely just felt like a calling to do. I never took a lesson once. I just felt it just came naturally, and I just felt called to do that, and that came from that came from some solitude.
Yeah, and see, that's one of those things where it's like, um, you just have a calling to it. Or I even think a lot of times it comes from a past life. Like, especially if there's something you just pick up like that. Like, if I saw a 3-year-old playing like the piano, I'd be like, dude, that's Mozart. You know what I mean? Like, that's somebody, that's like Beethoven over there. It's really
Yeah,
cool to see how that plays out. But no, you're right. I think solitude is important. Like I see so many people, and again, no judgment. You know, we're all on our different journeys, but that like cannot be alone. Like even like they'll be on the phone, you know, walking their dog or something. I'm like, don't you have like a thought? Like, don't you have like thoughts up in here that you want to like think about?
not apparently not. I mean, a lot of people are like running from that.
Apparently not. No, but yeah, like that shit's crazy to me. Like you have absolutely nothing in your head that like you want to think about. I don't know. Um, um, Another thing I wanted to ask too is like, so obviously, like a lot of your content, you're like, you know, working out or like you're taking off your shirt and you're being all like, ooh, like look at these muscles and everything. Do you think that people, whether that's online or in real life, like treat you differently because you know, have a good physique? Like, are there people who are more jealous or people who are nicer? Like, what's kind of your experience?
Yeah. So pretty much the way you show up in the world kind of subconsciously speaks volumes. So if you show up as, this person that has like veins and you feel your shirt out, it just conveys a certain message like unconsciously to most people or to everyone. And it just kind of just shows to the world that, hey, I'm so and so, I'm ready to fuck shit up.
Yeah, no, I that makes sense. It's kind of like a, at least like in person, like in the gym, it's like a power play. It's like, yo,
Yeah,
check this out.
because it demonstrates that you have like grit and discipline and this mindset. Just like every single fiber of muscle is completely earned. Like absolutely can't buy that stuff. You can't fake it at all. It's completely non-egalitarian. Like you either have it or you don't. Even with steroids, it takes a fuck ton of work.
Mm.
So it's just something you have or you don't. So if you don't have it, that also conveys a certain message to the world that you don't have this determination necessarily, at least on the surface level. Because whether we like it or not, we're being judged. Like we're always being judged, no matter what. So you might as well be in control of what you're putting out there.
Yeah, actually, you just reminded me of something I wanted to ask you. I hear about this thing a lot called like oh he has gym muscles or like oh those are just like I forget what else people call it, but is that a real thing? Like you just look strong but you're not. Like what does that mean? Like oh like gym muscles or whatever.
Yeah, it's so for bodybuilding, the goal is to build as much lean muscle as possible. It's not necessarily being as strong as possible. So anyone that has a bunch of size, they're not training for strength. They're training literally just for bigger muscles.
But how do you
So
like? But like how? Like how do you have big muscles if you're not strong? I guess.
yeah, it's just the type of training that goes into it. Building muscle versus building strength. Those are two completely different things to train for. I mean, a
Mm.
little bit of strength is required, I mean, to build muscle, but not a lot. It's really like there's like a little bit of a happy medium. Whereas, I mean, it's absolutely possible for someone to, have a good amount of size, be very aesthetically pleasing, but also have like a respectable amount of strength. It's just two completely different things to train for.
So like let's say I mean, not me, but like, let's say I got super like big buff, like bodybuilder body, but I'm not super strong. Would that just be like I just eat a shit ton of food, so I look like thicker, but then have the muscles? I don't know. I just don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, if you already had like a muscular physique, I mean, you just have to adjust your training a little bit to be more focused towards strength. It's
Okay.
just manipulating the calories, the carbs, fats, proteins, and manipulating the workout program that you're doing is really all it comes down to. But I mean, it is possible to do both. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it's very common for people to be super muscular but not super strong.
Hmm. Interesting. Another thing too, I remember like when I was growing up, the thing like if you wanted to be like the most fit or healthy person, you had to eat grilled chicken and rice every day. Is that like still a thing? Is it a thing?
Kind of not really. I mean, that's just like the typical like bodybuilder mentality. But I mean, there's absolutely you could absolutely make healthy food more enjoyable with a little bit of effort. It doesn't have to be just plain chicken rice, broccoli.
You can at least put like a little salt, pepper, a little something on there.
Yeah, it doesn't really take that much effort at all. But again, there kind of is something in being able to just like tough it out, being able to just be a robot a little bit and just consume for function as opposed to taste.
Oh, actually, what do
There's
you
kind of
think
something in that
about
too.
yeah, what do you think about the carnivore diet? Like just eating like meat, steak.
I haven't really like looked into it much. I don't really pay attention too much to that kind of stuff. It's kind of like if it works for you, whatever.
Do you just eat like intuitively, like what you know is healthy and just feels good?
Yeah, just like what I know, just whole foods, raw, organic as much as possible. I mean, grass-fed meat as much as possible. I mean, just regular healthy food. I mean, and I'm not like super um, strict about it either. I mean, I enjoy, you know, quote unquote cheat meals every now and then. Not like I'm not super strict.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think intuitive eating is the way to go because it's like, you're not really intuitively like really wanting to eat like hamburger helper. You know what I mean? Like that's just kind of, maybe like the affordable option. But no, I think that makes a lot of sense. And also, you guys, Matt is affiliated with a company called Ambrosia, and it's a supplement. Like, is a supplement powder? What is it again?
Yeah, it's a supplement company. Um, they really they have pretty much the best plant protein powder on the market right now. It tastes the best. It mixes really well, kind of like whey protein. That's kind of like what they're known for. Mainly is the protein, but I mean they also have like pre-workout that's like natural, but it doesn't taste natural. That's the thing. You know, a lot of natural supplements taste like I guess I'd imagine ayahuasca tastes like mud.
Like dirt,
But
yeah.
yeah, but it really tastes really good. So it's good. It's good stuff, and it's good for you. So I just really like that brand for that reason. So I mean,
Awesome.
check out their protein, check out their pre workout has like lion's mane, like some mushrooms in there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
got
you
the link
have
in
a
my bio.
discount code, right?
Yeah, 10% off when you use the code Luna LUNA, my last name.
All right, cool. Yeah, send me the info and I'll put it in the description box below the
Yep.
video. But thank you so much for coming on the show. Was there anything you wanted to add, like before we go?
Uh, no, not really.
All right,
There's
cool.
no one on here, right? No questions.
No, yeah, we don't have anybody here today. But yeah, so that was awesome. And as Matt always says on his channel, live powerfully. And I think that that's how you live. So it feels like authentic. I think you're really like into what you're doing. And I'm just grateful that you came on today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's kind of symbolic that I even come on here at all because like I went on this whole my journey from 18 to I'm about to be 26. It was very solitary. It was very much done like in the privacy of my own mind, my own soul. So it's very like symbolic that I kind of like break out into the world now with this doing this podcast. It's like I'm being called to like being to share this now what I've been through.
Yeah, you got to shine your light, dude. And I'm sure we'll have you on the show again, but I'm super appreciative. And guys, please go check them out. Seriously, like, you're missing out if you don't, and you're dumb. Okay. Thank you so much, Matt. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Bye.